Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This time, Blitzball champ Jason Ingram is back here for a new live edition of Pro Wrestling Talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming. So, I know I'm a little late in doing this. I usually do this on Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, but it's been a crazy busy weekend for me. But I have gotten somewhat caught up. So, we're going to dive into some topics tonight. Going to do a quick recap of the current standings of Stardom's Goddess of Stardom Tag League currently going on. In New Japan Pro Wrestling, we just recently crowned new IWGP Jr. Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. So I get to that as well. We're going to go over AEW. I'm going to go over NXT's Halloween Havoc that took place this week. Just the usual WWE talk and a whole lot's going on. But yeah, got a good bit to talk about tonight. So let's dive in and get started, shall we? So let's take a quick look at the standings, the current standings for the Stardom Goddess of Stardom Tag League. So, let's look at the blue block first. So still sitting at the bottom with 0 points are the team of C Moon, which is Lady C and Waka Tsukiyama, and Dream H, which is Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa. So right now, Lady C and Waka Tsukiyama have the loss against Azumi and Momo Watanabe. And Dream H, they have lost twice. They've lost to the team of Shuri and Micah and Starlight Kid and Ruoka. So not a good start for Dream H. We have Blue Marine, which is Mayu Iwatani and Ren Katakura. They have 2 points right now. Let's see. They have the one victory over Azumi and Momo Watanabe. So they've only wrestled one match. Let's see. Tied with 3 points in the blue block are Kurotora Kaido, which is Starlight Kid and Ruoka, and the team of Momoaz, which is Azumi and Momo Watanabe, last year's Goddess of Stardom Tag League winners. Okay, Starlight Kid and Ruoka, they have 1 win and 1 draw. They have the win over Dream H, which is Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa, and they have the 1 draw with Momo Watanabe and Azumi. And then Azumi and Momo Watanabe, they have the draw with Starlight Kid and Ruoka. And they've beaten Lady C and Waka Tsukiyama, but they've lost to Shuri and Micah. And then leading the Blue Goddess block are the team of Ponytail and Samurai Road, Shuri and Micah, with 4 points. Right now, they are 2-1. So they have defeated Azumi and Momo Watanabe and Tam Nakano and Mina Shirakawa, but they've lost to Mayu Iwatani and Ren Katakura. So actually, hold up. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Had to make sure I had that right. Okay. Red block, Red Goddess block. So the teams of Cosmic Angels and Water and Oil, which is Hanan and Rina, and Unagi Sayaka and Mai Sakurai both still have 0 points. Let's see. Hana and Rina, they've lost to both Hazuki and Koguma and Aphrodite, which is Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani. So not a good start for them. And Cosmic Angels have lost to Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani. Let's see. Oedo Tai and FWC both have 2 points. So that's Oedo Tai, Saki Kashima, and Fukigen Death, which they have defeated Aphrodite, but they've lost to Himeka and Natsupoi. Now, FWC, which is Hazuki and Koguma, they have beaten Hanan and Rina, but they've lost to Himeka and Natsupoi. And then you have tied at 4 points are Himepoi and Aphrodite, which Himepoi is Himeka and Natsupoi, and Aphrodite was Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani. So Aphrodite, they are 2-1. They got victories over Hanan and Rina and Unagi Sayaka and Mai Sakurai, but they've lost to Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death. Himeka Natsupoi, let's see. They have defeated Hazuki and Koguma and Saki Kashima and Fukigen Death. So it's quite an interesting start to this Goddess of Stardom tag league. And I believe the next matches, I think, are supposed to be maybe middle of this week or probably next weekend. But, you know, looking at the standings so far, I'm pretty confident that, you know, Mayu Iwatani and Ren Katakura will continue to work their way up, and they might have the top spot at some point. But something tells me it's going to come down between them, Azumi and Watanabe, and Shuri and Maika. I think one of those 3 teams will end up winning the blue block. For the red block, it's probably going to either be FWC, Himepoi, or Aphrodite that comes out of the red block. But it should be interesting. It should definitely be interesting. And also, the word is that I think Konami is still in recovery. And it looks like Konami, I don't think will be back until maybe December. But hopefully, okay, so, actually, it was announced that she was out for this past weekend and that her recovery is going to take a little longer. So, who knows? Hopefully she can be back next month. I heard word that possibly December, but hopefully sooner than that. Because I would like to still see her get her UWF rules SWA title shot against Shuri, which hopefully they can get that going before December, because, you know, December, Shuri has her shot at the red belt, December 29th. But that's pretty much it for Stardom for now. Like I said, didn't have a whole lot. Just wanted to go through the standings right quick. I still wonder when Saya Ida is going to come back. Anyway, let's look at New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, this past Tuesday, during the Road to Power Struggle tour, new IWGP Jr. Heavyweight Tag Team Champions were crowned as Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado took on Tiger Mask and IWGP Jr. Heavyweight Champion Robbie Eagles. And dang, they lost in their very first defense. And Tiger Mask and Robbie Eagles, who is now a double champ, become IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champs. It was a good match. Overall, it was a good match. And, it was very much back and forth. But Robbie Eagles was able to hit the Ron Miller special and was able to pick up the victory, the submission victory. And he's a double champion now. So Robbie Eagles definitely looking strong. I got a chance to see Robbie Eagles live at PWX when he took on Lucky Ali, which was a really good match. But yeah, Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask. Quite a unit there. But man, Robbie Eagles, ever since he returned, he's been lighting it up. And now he's a double champion, double junior champion. So he's got the tag title and the junior solo singles title. So Robbie Eagles is looking really strong right now. So we'll have to see how long that lasts. But he's been killing it. He's been killing it. And now he's a double title holder. Now, of course, as November is about to arrive, that means, as a matter of fact, this coming Saturday is Power Struggle. So definitely looking forward to that. That should be really good. And, we got the Never Open Weight 6-man tag titles on the line. The KOPW. Robbie Eagles will defend the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. It's a loaded card. It's definitely a loaded card. So should be good. Should be really good for next Saturday. And next week we'll go over that card when the time comes. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go ahead and move on to AEW. So it's been quite an interesting week with AEW. With Dynamite. Dynamite returned to Wednesday. So first up, we had CM Punk versus Bobby Fish. And this was a match I was definitely very excited about. I like both these guys. I'm a big Bobby Fish fan. He's one half of one of my favorite tag teams in Red Dragon with Kyle O'Reilly. So I was stoked for this matchup. And it was a good match. It was definitely a good match. It was back and forth. I mean, both of these guys are veterans. So, I mean, it definitely was a match that went the pace I thought it was going to go. But sure enough, there was a lot of strikes from both sides. And just these two brought it. I mean, these two know each other very well. And sure enough, CM Punk was able to get the GTS and defeat Bobby Fish. But it was definitely a great match to start off Dynamite. It was really cool. And then you had a segment, or not a segment. The next match, you had a squash. You had MJF against some competitor. I think it said, hold up, what was his name? Bryce Donovan. Hey, Hot Sauce Nelly, how you doing? Good to see you, man. MJF squashes this Bryce Donovan just like that. Instant heat seeker. Bam. Done deal. And, of course, MJF has to talk smack. He's like the main heel and just steady growing and growing and growing. It'll be interesting when he finally holds that AEW championship, world championship. That's gonna be something. That's really gonna be a sight to behold. But anyway, you had a moment where MJF trolled us with Sting's entrance music. Of course, he didn't come out. And then the lights cut out. And then there's Sting. He had the baseball bat, beat up Wardlow. Of course, MJF went to go run like a little chicken. And then Darby Allin appeared, got some licks in, and they were able to scare off MJF. And Darby Allin got on the mic, pretty much said, Max, Full Gear. So Darby Allin wants MJF at Full Gear later in November. So that should be a killer of a match. Definitely looking forward to that. Should be good. You had a segment with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the current AEW Women's World Champion, who was signed to have a no disqualification match on Rampage going up against Abaddon, which was quite a great match, which I'll get into later. But we had Sammy Guevara making his second defense of the TNT Championship, going up against All Ego Ethan Page. And I tell you, this was a good match. Of course, both sides were banned from ringside, so it was just one-on-one. And of course, the stipulation was if Sammy won, he would get the 10-man tag match at Full Gear, and they could pretty much choose the opponents or whatnot. But if Sammy lost, he'd have to leave the inner circle forever. Now, this was definitely a back and forth match, and the premier athlete, Tony Nese, was in attendance and watching. So, you know, this is another thing that could end up turning into a storyline with somebody involving Tony Nese, who's a great wrestler, great high flyer, very well built. We'll have to see what happens with that. But anyway, this was a great back and forth match. And, you know, it was really close to the point where Ethan Page almost had it. But I figured, you know, second defense, Sammy Guevara ain't losing that title on the second defense. So, anyway, Sammy Guevara was able to escape out of the Ego's Edge and counter with a shooting star press and was able to get the pin to retain the title. Now, of course, Scorpio Sky came down for a post-match beatdown on Sammy Guevara. They even bloodied him up. But Chris Jericho and the rest of the inner circle were able to come down to the rescue. And apparently the match is not going to be any regular match. So the match is on for Full Gear, but it's going to be a Minneapolis street fight, which, you know, Full Gear will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Man, it's going to be cold, I can imagine. Now, that Sammy Guevara won this match, that means for the 5-on-5 tag team Minneapolis street fight, the inner circle get to pick from America's top team who's going to participate. So they called out Dan Lambert, was like, hey, next week, bring your cronies. We'll pick them, and we'll pretty much set things for the match. Okay, you had some tension backstage between Eddie Kingston and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. They cut a promo. Of course, Eddie Kingston was angry, as he usually likes to be. But apparently it was something that Bryan Danielson really liked seeing from him. And that was to fuel up their match, which was, I believe, at Rampage. So I'll get into that a little later. But that was a nice little backstage segment. And it's also been announced that the Lucha Brothers, the current AEW World Tag Team Champions, will defend those titles against FTR at Full Gear. So can look forward to them going at it at Full Gear. That should be really good. And of course, remember, FTR are the AAA Tag Team Champions that they won from the Lucha Bros as well. Okay. Then we had a first round TBS Women's Championship tournament match as Hikaru Shida went up against Serena Deeb. Now, of course, this has been a storyline that just recently got going after Serena Deeb made Shida tap out last week and then hit her with the 50-win Glass Award. So they've been brawling quite a bit back and forth. They got a nice little storyline there. So going this time, let's see if Shida can get that 50th win. And I must say, this was an excellent match between these two ladies. These two ladies have great chemistry. Pardon me. Not only story-wise, but also in the ring. These two are great. Like I said, Serena Deeb, Hikaru Shida, both have been wrestling a long time. I mean, they're good at what they do. This was a great match. It was back and forth. I mean, there was a moment where it looked like Deeb was going to get another tap-out submission, but Shida was able to get to the rope and was able to break out of that, and it was just back and forth, but Shida was able to reverse a detox and was able to get the pin, the 1-2-3, to not only advance in the tournament, but it is signed, sealed, and delivered. Hikaru Shida now has 50 wins, 50 wins in AEW. In her AEW career, she has now racked up 50 wins. Now, of course, afterwards, there was the post-match attack on Shida from Serena Deeb, and it looked kind of bad to the point where I don't know, y'all. I mean, next week, Shida, who knows? Maybe she beat her up so badly that she's out of the tournament. I hope that's not the case. I don't think it's the case, but I hope that's not the case. That would be a bummer. Because Shida deserves to be in this tournament. I still say Riho deserves to be in this tournament too, but it is what it is. Anyways, you had a moment where you had backstage, you had not Matt Sydal, you had Dante Martin and Lio Rush, and of course Lio Rush trying to be the mentor, and this leads up to there being a match between Matt Sydal and Dante Martin scheduled for Rampage, which I'll go into that in a little bit. You had another round of the men's eliminator tournament match. It was Dark Order's number 10 versus Jon Moxley. And man, Jon Moxley jacked up Dark Order's number 10. I mean, bloodied him up, like ripped his mask up and started biting him. Like, geez. Jon Moxley went all in and he flat out destroyed number 10. So Jon Moxley advances. Oh, pardon me. And it looks like we're going to get Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy in that semifinal round. Wow. That's going to be crazy. You had Cody Rhodes and Arn Anderson come out for a segment. And of course, folks were booing Cody Rhodes, and pretty much he was pretty much saying that, I ain't gonna be a heel. I ain't gonna be a heel. I'm not gonna be that guy. Y'all can cheer, you can love me, you can boo me. I'll always love you, but I'm not gonna be that guy. And sure enough, Andrade El Idolo comes out, talks some smack. Hey, these people don't like you. These people don't like you. And talked some smack to Cody until the lights went out. Then Malachi Black showed up, and pretty much Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo teamed up to take down Cody. And also, Arn Anderson tried to get involved but he got sprayed. One of them got misted, and it was looking bad for Arn Anderson and Cody. And then Pac came down, and not only did Pac Pac come down. He cleared house and even did the seated Indian style pose like Malachi Black does, and gave him the double finger salute. So that was crazy sequence from Pac, and something I would love to see. Could you imagine Malachi Black versus Pac? Oh man, I'd be all over that. I'd be all over that. I would love to see that. And then you had a very entertaining stable match for the main event. You had the Dark Order versus the Elite. You had the Dark Order made up of Stu Grayson, John Silver, Colt Cabana, and Evil Uno, which, you had folks dressed up. You had Stu Grayson. He was dressed up like Kratos, and just, it was crazy. The Elite came out as Ghostbusters. You had Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks coming out as Ghostbusters. They had Michael Nakazawa as this big baby, and then they had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So, yeah, it was a nice little Ghostbusters themed entrance. But, I mean, this match was pretty good. I mean, it was kind of a wacky main event, but still a good match. And I also kind of noticed, like, I don't know if Adam Cole and Kenny Omega are really on the same page, but that's something that could get stirred up. Maybe that match is the start, and it might grow over time, but something tells me little by little that Adam Cole and Kenny Omega just aren't going to get along. Because, I mean, it's happened before. It's happened before on ROH. So, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But anyway, this was a pretty wacky main event. And sure enough, like, it was crazy. There was a segment, like, the match was back and forth. It was great. But there was a segment where the other folks of the Dark Order were chasing this horse out from the back. The Elite get a hold of the horse and just pummel him. Whoever's dressed up like the horse, and it was just pummeling him, gave him a quadruple BTE trigger, and then took the horse's head off, and it's Brandon Cutler. And then come to find out that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was revealed to be Hangman Adam Page. And he just got his licks in and unloaded on the Elite. And the Elite actually ended up winning. Or not the Elite, the Dark Order ended up defeating the Elite. And that was big. That was really big for Dark Order. And just another statement made as Hangman Adam Page is getting geared up to compete for the title at Full Gear. And I'm looking so forward to that. Full Gear is going to be a great pay-per-view. Check it out. So that was Dynamite. So pretty good Dynamite. And then you had Rampage, which, oh man, AEW Rampage was actually really good as well. So with Rampage, you had the World Title Eliminator Tournament, Eddie Kingston versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And oh man, these two lit each other up. By the end of the match, Bryan Danielson's chest was like, oh man, it was like marker color red, like cherry red. It was crazy how whelped up his chest was from those chops. And just back and forth, these two trading blows, trading strikes, roughing each other up. Got to the point where Bryan Danielson had Eddie Kingston in like a triangle submission. And there was a moment where Eddie Kingston flipped him off. right before he passed out to that submission, and Bryan Danielson got the victory, and he makes it to the finals. So he will get to wrestle at Full Gear in the finals of this AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. So now we're just waiting on the match between the winner of Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy. All right. So that was a great match, really great match to open up Rampage. And you had a segment backstage. CM Punk was talking with Tony Schiavone, and then apparently in the back you could hear Eddie Kingston pretty much complaining, and I guess looking over at CM Punk's way, he's like, "Oh, what's so funny? What you laughing at?" And then they started going back and forth. So it looks like we may be seeing CM Punk and Eddie Kingston in the future, and that was another two people that know each other well. So yeah, it's crazy. But we had Dante Martin versus Matt Sydal, and only this time, which it was a good match. You know, two high flyers going at it, and Dante Martin was able to get the double springboard moonsault, pin and cover on Matt Sydal to secure the win. But it does make me wonder going forward what's going to happen with this relationship with Lio Rush and Dante Martin. This could be something how he gets ushered to becoming a heel, but I have no idea. We'll have to see how that develops. We'll have to see how that develops. And then the main event was a trick or treat match, a trick or treat no disqualification match. Dr. Britt Baker DMD against Abaddon, and it's no DQ stipulation. But if Abaddon can win this match, she will get a title shot. Now, of course, a bunch of weapons were being used: tables, chairs, even thumbtacks. And it was an entertaining match. I mean, Abaddon, the whole zombie character, able to take hits. And yeah, it was crazy. But I really, really wanted Abaddon to win this match personally. But yeah. But, I mean, it was back and forth. We even saw a segment with thumbtacks and Britt Baker taking a uranagi onto the thumbtacks. Not only that, but her putting some of those tacks in Abaddon's mouth and then super kicking her. And even when she went for the lockjaw, Abaddon ended up biting her hand. I thought that was going to be the turning point that would lead to a Abaddon victory. But of course, Dr. Britt Baker DMD has backup. She has a zombified Jamie Hayter and a zombified Rebel having her back. And sure enough, that played its part. And Britt Baker was able to secure the victory. But I just really hated how that went down. I really do. She had won. She was going to lose again later. And I just feel like Abaddon has a lot of wins, but seems like she hasn't really beaten someone she knows. Anyway, but yeah, I was really bummed. I wanted Abaddon to win that, especially with everything she was taking and still rising up like nothing happened. I really wish she would have won that, but it is what it is. But yeah. And that's it for AEW. Let's jump into WWE. So Raw was actually but it had a heck of a main event. So starting off, you had a segment with Big E, and you had Big E pretty much got on the mic and pretty much opens up for any folks that want to step up and potentially challenge Big E for his title. Now, we had a whole bunch of different competitors come in. We had Seth Rollins. We had Rey Mysterio. We had Finn Balor. And we had Kevin Owens. So that's quite a group. And it came to a decision. We're going to have a number one contender decided. Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, and a ladder match. So that's quite one heck of a main event. With those four, I mean, those four are great. They're stars. Okay, you had a three-way tag team match. Whoever won this gets a future tag title opportunity against RK Bro. You had the Dirty Dogs, which is Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, against Alpha Academy, Otis and Chad Gable, versus the Street Profits. And fortunately, Dirty Dogs were able to get that victory, but it was still pretty entertaining. It was still pretty entertaining. I will say that. And then we had a rematch between Queen Zelina and Doudrop. You know, Queen Zelina had her royal coronation, and of course, Doudrop wasn't having that, so she ended up coming out. And Zelina Vega talked a good game, and even talked with a really weird English accent, but I mean, it is what it is. But Zelina Vega, using whatever means necessary to get the victory, she untied a turnbuckle, and then she went to another side of the ring. And once the ref was tending to that turnbuckle, she took advantage, got her scepter, and blasted Doudrop with it for the 1-2-3. Now, I mean, it's kind of weird that it had to come to that, but I shouldn't be too surprised. But that's two wins Zelina Vega has on Doudrop. And of course, we had an in-ring segment between Becky Lynch and Bianca Bel-Air. I mean, Bianca's going to keep going after Becky until she gets her title shot. That's what I figured. And, you know, it doesn't surprise me, though. It doesn't surprise me. But, of course, Becky Lynch was like, you want a title shot? You get to the back of the line. And, of course, Bianca Belair didn't take kindly to that. They had a scuffle, and they went back and forth. But Becky Lynch did agree to give her title shot, just not tonight. So at least we know it's happening. We know it's happening, and that's going to be a much better match. You know, they're getting a solo one-on-one for the Raw Women's title. At least we know it won't be no 26 seconds. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That should be really good. And Bianca Belair put her in her place. She legit put her in her place. And then we had the most dumbest match. This dumb segment. So we had Damian Priest versus T-Bar. Number one, they changed Damian Priest's theme, which he doesn't do the Archer of Infamy, pose or nothing like that. It was just terrible. T-Bar, I don't know why they won't let him go back to being Dominic Dijakovic. I mean, he doesn't even wear a mask anymore. Doesn't even wear a mask. And I was hoping this would be like a back and forth match, and this could potentially be a good match because, you know, these two are great. These two were once both in ROH. So, I mean, I had a lot of high hopes for this matchup, but, you know, everything was going one direction, and then out of nowhere, T-Bar throws a chair, like one of the plastic foam chairs that you sit in, and it hit Damian Priest, which they called a DQ. Damian Priest gets the victory by DQ, but then he just turns around and just smashes and just beats the crap out of T-Bar. And it makes me wonder, you know, is this potentially going to a heel turn for Damian Priest? I mean, he got really aggressive, and just from getting the chair tossed at him, like, he destroyed T-Bar. So, not sure what's going to happen there going forward, but it was crazy. We had Carmilla versus Liv Morgan. They changed Carmilla's theme. I was so disappointed with this. Of course, Liv Morgan came out in ring attire, inspired by Chucky. So, thought that was pretty neat. But honestly, I just don't like the fact that Carmella beat Liv Morgan. I mean, just Liv deserves better. I don't know when her contract's up, but Liv deserves better. She needs to get out of there because they are not going to book her correctly. They're just not. They're just not going to book her correctly. And then you had a Keith Bearcat Lee, also with new theme, had a one-on-one match with Cedric Alexander, and he pretty much wrecked Cedric Alexander. And it's like, okay, now is it just that, is Keith Lee not going to really speak on the mic anymore, or is he just going to do growls and runts and roars now that he's a Bearcat? Like, oh my God. I just don't know what to say. But, and then they say oh my God. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And it's like, you have him going up against Cedric Alexander, who, if I remember correctly, is also a heel. And I thought the whole thing was that Bearcat Lee was supposed to be a heel. So, yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. You had Dominic Mysterio versus Austin Theory, which, I mean, I feel for Dominic. I really do. Like, it just really makes me wonder, when are they finally gonna, like, give him another storyline where he can really work some matches on his own and just get evolved more? Because I just didn't think it helped where they just putting up against anybody, and he's just losing to all these different people just over and over again. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on it. But next up, you had the tag team championship match. You had the Dirty Dogs versus RK Bro. Of course, the Dirty Dogs won the triple threat earlier to get this shot. And you know what? It was a decent match. It was actually a decent match. Of course, RK Bro ended up getting the victory. But, I mean, did they really need to do double duty tonight? Do they really need to do double duty? I would have saved it for next week. But that's just me. I would have saved it for next week's Raw. But RK Bro was able to retain the titles. Now, the main event, the ladder match, the 4-way ladder match. I tell you, it was great. It was back and forth. I can't really say that I had a favorite coming out of this match. I mean, I like them all. You know, you got 4 great stars in there. You know, you got your Kevin Owens, your Seth Rollins, your Finn Balor, and your Rey Mysterio. So this is great. All former champions. You know what I mean? So this was really great to see. But ultimately, Seth Rollins was able to get the contract, and he is the new number 1 contender. I don't know. I saw Seth Rollins versus Big E live at like a live house show. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It'll be good, but it's not really a matchup that I'm looking forward to. Only because I've seen it before. I've seen it before in a live show. So, we'll see. But Seth Rollins is your new number 1 contender for Big E's WWE Championship. So, we'll have to see what they do with that storyline. But it's like, dang, they just finished the storyline with Edge, turn right around, and he's in the title picture. It's crazy. All right. That's it for Raw. Let's go over some Halloween Havoc. This was a pretty decent Halloween Havoc, but it was filled with a ton of botches, unfortunately. So first starting off with the women's tag team championship match. So it was a triple threat. You had the champions, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, defending against Toxic Attractions, Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne, and Persia Pirotti and Indy Hartwell. Now, like I said, unfortunately, there were some botches in this match, but it was still a good, solid match. I have to say that the sickest spot in that match was the tossing of Io Shirai off of the ladder and onto the ladder outside of the ring. What Indy did, and Indy kind of gave that, hey, are you all right? Sort of look, because Io hit that ladder hard. She hit that ladder hard. So thankfully she tweeted that she was all right. Zoe Stark tried to do a Phoenix splash onto, I think it was Jacy Jayne. And because she was rotating so fast and the way she landed on her feet, I thought she might have broken an ankle or something like that. She was limping a little bit. So I hope that Zoe Stark is okay. But it looked like the way she landed, like she might have tweaked her ankle or something. She didn't look comfortable after that. So hopefully Zoe Stark is all right. But sure enough, Gigi Dolan, Jacy Jayne are your new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. So I figured it was a matter of time to take the belts off of Io and Zoe. I don't even know why they even had them for as long as they did, especially with so little defenses. But still, it was still a good match. The ladies did their thing. You had a match, Malik Blade, Joe Gacy, and of course you had Garland there, who's pretty much on Jacy's side. Was able to beat Malik Blade, and just as I talk to more and more of my friends, a lot of them are pretty much convinced that this Joe Gacy, this Garland, are pretty much going to be the next Wyatt family. Or at least of that type of nature. We'll see, though, but that's the vibe that I get. And I don't even like Joe Gacy's gimmick either. You had an open challenge. You had Roderick Strong was ready to compete from Diamond Mine, and you had Odyssey Jones, who stepped up and wanted some of Roddy Strong, and he was kind of hesitant because with him being the cruiserweight champion, he was hoping for like another cruiserweight, but Odyssey Jones is not a cruiserweight, duh. But he still took the match on, and of course, Diamond Mine with the multiple distractions, and Roddy versus the World was able to take advantage and hit that jumping knee and straight up drops Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones was handling his own, but once he took that jumping knee from Roddy versus the World, he dropped. And of course, Roddy did get the victory, but man, it's going to get really annoying to see Roddy have to get interference and such to be able to hold on to the cruiserweight title. Because, like I said, he's a phenomenal wrestler. He doesn't need the backup. But that's just me personally. But it is what it is. You had the NXT Women's Championship match, which was Mandy Rose getting her title shot against the champion Raquel Gonzalez, who rode into the ring on her motorcycle, which I thought was pretty neat. And this wasn't a regular match. This was also a trick or street fight. So this was street fight, anything goes, no DQ, stuff like that. But you have to get the pin or submission. You got to get it in the ring. So these two ladies were going at it, and you know, it was interesting. It was very interesting, but I figured with how the tag team ladder match went, with Gigi Dolan and JC Jane winning and becoming tag champs, it was inevitable how this was going to turn out. And not only that, with who showed up, I kind of expected. So it was a win. It was definitely a win. But Mandy Rose ended up winning and dethroning Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's Championship, but it was not without help, as a mystery person took a shovel to the back of Raquel Gonzalez, and that pretty much sealed the deal. So all of Toxic Attraction holds gold. And sure enough, after the match, the cloaked lady revealed herself to be a returning pink-haired Dakota Kai. So Dakota Kai is back. I have been wondering and been asking about her, so it's good to see her back. Dakota Kai is back and costed Raquel Gonzalez the title. So you best believe the feud between these two ladies is definitely not over. But we'll have to see how Raquel Gonzalez answers back. And a new reign for Toxic Attraction. We'll have to see how long they end up holding the gold, because that's a big deal. This is Mandy Rose's first major, first title in the WWE. So it's a big deal. And then we had the NXT tag team titles on the line as MSK defended against Imperium. And it's crazy, because even though this match was back and forth and I was thinking MSK was going to retain, oh, no. Imperium beat MSK and are now the new NXT World Tag Team Champs. And I know a lot of folks are happy about that, because lately they have been getting booed. Like MSK have been getting booed during their entrances and during their matches and such. So a lot of people apparently were happy. But dang, y'all, that's 3 title changes. Women's tag titles, women's championship, and now the regular tag team titles. Like, that's crazy. 3 title changes like that. And of course, the main event was the NXT championship as Tommaso Ciampa defended against Braun Breaker. And this was an intense match. Of course, Tommaso Ciampa came to the ring repping Kratos from God of War. So I thought that was pretty neat. But this was a good match. Braun Breaker really did his thing and definitely shows that he can be championship material. Even though he lost this match, which he took a lot of shots and kept getting back up, showing a lot of heart, showing a lot of resilience. But it was not enough, and Tommaso Ciampa will be able to return. And, you know, with him bouncing back like he has and winning the title and kind of being that next person to really, I guess, bring up the newer guys, the only thing is how long? Because, hey, Jack, what's going on, Ray Parker Jr.? you saw that, right? AEW, you saw that, right? It's apparent that Tommaso doesn't want to go to the main roster. And I think it's the same situation for Johnny Gargano. But it's got to come at some point in time where something's got to happen for that. But Braun Breaker had a great showing, but just wasn't enough to seal the deal and get the victory. But Braun Breaker, definitely keep an eye out for him. I think he could be a champion in the near future. Oh, Jack, good point. This is my most recent shirt. This is my Destroy shirt. This is one of my favorite Joshi wrestlers, Lady Godzilla / Lady Destroyer Hiroyo Matsumoto. Definitely one of my favorites. I got this recently. But yeah, known as Lady Destroyer. I love her. But yeah, shout out to Hiroyo Matsumoto. Shared this on Twitter and she gave me a like. So, but Halloween Havoc was all right. Like I said, there were some botches, but it was still all right. I just was so shocked that there were 3 title changes. The whole segment with Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes getting the North American title back, and just the whole thing with Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis, the production value of that just wasn't that great, to be honest. I wasn't really digging it, but I mean, it was Halloween Havoc, so they had to do something like that, so I can't be too surprised. Man, it's really cool. Thank you. Yeah, I love this shirt. Definitely love this shirt. But Halloween Havoc was all right. It was all right. We had 3 title changes. Didn't think it would be that many changes, but hey. Toxic Attraction has all the gold. No news on the Russo versus McMahon thing. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. So nothing there. But so that was Halloween Havoc. I really felt like Shotzi Blackheart should have been the host again. I mean, the whole Grayson Waller LA Knight just, I mean, the backstage segments were all right, but I really think Shotzi should have been the host because she did such a great job last year's Halloween Havoc. NXT UK. So, had a couple of matches here. Had Mark Coffey and Rohan Raja, which Rohan Raja has been at the side of Teoman, and of course Mark Coffey, part of Gallus. This match was okay. I mean, I can't say that I was really that invested in this match, but Mark Coffey got the victory. There was a blindside attack afterwards from Teoman, and I mean, I guess this is a storyline that's gonna stay for a bit with Gallus and Tillman and Rohan Raja. It's probably gonna last for a little bit. So we'll see what happens, but it wasn't really a match that I was invested in. We also had Amale versus Myla Grace. So it was good to see her back in the ring. I feel like it's been a while since Amale has done anything, because I think the last time Amale wrestled was she had the title shot against Mako Satomura, another one who hasn't wrestled in a hot minute. So yeah, but she did defeat Myla Grace and kind of had a little moment, a little stare down with Blair Davenport, who came down to check things out. So, hey, could we see Blair Davenport and Amale face off at some point? Probably. We'll have to see. But it's good to see Amale back in the ring again. We had Charlie Dempsey versus Danny Jones. I tell you, this Charlie Dempsey, I could see him like improving more and more to the point where I could see him eventually challenging maybe for the Heritage Cup or even for the NXT United Kingdom Championship. Just not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. But yeah, Charlie Dempsey, I like him. I like him. Just want to see a little more of him. That's all. But he was able to defeat Danny Jones, and he definitely loves those double underhook suplexes and even got a submission afterwards. So that was a nice little combo to the submission victory at the end. So I like the guy. I definitely like the guy. So and then this main event. So the main event was the Heritage Cup Championship match as Tyler Bate defended against Noam Dar. Of course, Tyler Bate had Trent Seven in his corner. Noam Dar had Shaw Samuels in his corner. And, you know, this rivalry has been brewing quite a bit. I mean, these two freaking hate each other. And, you know, it was back and forth. I knew this match was going to go to the distance. I mean, I think we could all say that this match was going to go to the distance. It was back and forth. Noam Dar was able to get the first pinfall, get the Nova Rolla. Then, of course, let's see. And then Tyler Bate, not too long after that, was able to get the next pinfall, the Tyler Driver 97. And then it got really, really interesting on the way to the end of this match. Really interesting. So, Pretty Deadly, the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, came out. And there was a segment outside where Trent Seven was kind of in a scrum with Pretty Deadly. And he was trying to fight him off, and he had the towel, white towel in his hand. And with enough force from, like, I guess, the direction of his arm with the towel was enough that the towel went into the ring, and the referee saw it as, because Noam Dar had the knee bar submission on Tyler Bate at the time. But once the ref saw the towel, he assumed that Trent Seven threw in the towel. Therefore, with him throwing in the towel, that's pretty much I quit, I give up. Noam Dar is your new NXT UK Heritage Cup champion. His first major championship in WWE. Let's keep it real. It was a controversial finish, but it makes me wonder what's going to happen Maybe something like a storyline may be brewing between Trent Seven and Tyler Bate with how this happened. Maybe. But I'm totally fine with Noam Dar as new Heritage Cup champion. Like I said, this is his first major championship. So I figured he may have this for a good bit. And I agree with the move. I definitely agree with the move. But that was a good main event. That was definitely a good main event. But because like I said, those two, they hate each other. All right, SmackDown. SmackDown, to be honest, SmackDown was a little bit of a letdown. Just a little bit of a letdown. So, started off with some Charlotte Flair, which I had to catch this late. So, thankfully, I had it recorded. I had to catch this late. So, Charlotte came down, got on the mic, and of course, trash talk everyone. And, Sasha Banks came out. Sasha Banks wants a title shot. Charlotte Flair wasn't really having it because she feels like needs some new talent, somebody new to step up. And sure enough, Shotzi Blackheart arrives in her PCB or TCB, I'm sorry, TCB tank and was like, hey, if you want a challenger, I'm your girl. So Shotzi gets a championship contenders match against Charlotte Flair. She did well. Although the suicide dive botch was kind of bad. But thankfully, Charlotte actually did what she did to protect her because, her feet got tripped up on that middle rope when she did the suicide dive. But, it was good to see Shotzi and Charlotte face off. And, of course, Sasha Banks was there. And, but sure enough, there was a slight minor distraction after Shotzi was almost whipped into Sasha, and Charlotte took advantage, was able to hit the natural selection to get the pin, and pretty much afterwards, Shotzi was pissed at Sasha Banks. Like, she got so mad at her. She was trying to help her up. She got so mad, she shoved her. This is your fault. This was my opportunity. You ruined it. And then she beat the crap out of Sasha Banks. I mean, she threw her to the tank. I mean, she beat the crap out of Sasha Banks. And now, Shotzi Blackheart is a heel. They have turned her heel. It's kind of weird because the crowd is very much behind Shotzi. And to turn her heel, and I guess Sasha's a face now, just... Did they really need to turn Shotzi heel? I don't think they needed to turn her heel, to be honest with y'all. I don't think they needed to turn her heel. So it's weird. And don't get me wrong, I roll with Shotzi Blackheart. That's my girl. That's one of my girls. But did they really need to turn her heel? I don't think so. But Shotzi versus Sasha should be interesting and hopefully really good. Hopefully it'll be good. Let's see. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It was one of those decisions where I can understand how this turns into a dang on good storyline between Sasha and Shotzi. I just don't think this was the right time to do that. Because you gotta look at it like this. When Shotzi and Tegan were teamed up, they were undefeated and they never once got their tag title shot. And then now Shotzi, you turn her heel. It's like, geez, like, what the heck? So I don't really understand the reasoning behind that personally. But next up, you had a segment with Adam Pearce, who got on to announce that not only, about Brock Lesnar's suspension, indefinite suspension, still going, but he's fining Brock Lesnar a fine of $1 million. Like, really? $1 million? That much? That's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, Drew McIntyre did another open challenge. Mustafa Ali answers the open challenge, and they have a match. And I mean, they both did their thing. I like both of these competitors. And Drew did something I did not expect. He got a submission victory, made Mustafa Ali tap out to a Kimura lock. So that was really interesting. I haven't seen Drew McIntyre get a submission victory since his Impact Wrestling days, when he would occasionally use the Iron Maiden to get a victory. It's what he used on what you call it, Kurt Angle once. So yes, interesting that he got a submission victory. And then afterwards, of course, Mustafa got on the mic. He's mad and angry. He doesn't like the fact that everybody's booing him. And it's like, the only reason why he lost the match is because everybody chose to support him and not Mustafa Ali. So if you ask me, I think they're wasting how they're booking Mustafa Ali, especially just with what he can bring into the ring. But it's a shame. It's a real shame. You had a segment with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, King Xavier. Of course, they met up with Hit Row and they were vibing together. And then they decided to have a ceremony where King Xavier would knight Kofi Kingston. I mean, after all, he's been by his side. He's been his, supporter and such. So, I mean, that was a nice little segment. It's just interesting being that Xavier Woods is still a face as King of the Ring. Normally, King of the Rings are heel, but he's a face. The Usos came out, interrupted afterwards, and pretty much, talking smack to the New Day, and that would end up leading to a match announced for later that night, which I believe ended up being the main event. Yes. So that's what ensued with that. We had a trick or street fight between Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss going up against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. And this was just silly, to be honest with y'all. This was silly. There was pumpkins all over everywhere. There was bobbing for apples, kendo sticks. I think Shinsuke even had a pumpkin on his head. It was a really goofy match, to be honest with you. It was really goofy. Like, sometimes they go a little too crazy with the holiday-themed matches, and this one was one of them. And then two folks came in and pretty much were the deciding factor in helping Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss get the victory. And then, of course, backstage, those folks that helped out Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss that were dressed up ended up being the tag team of Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. So that pretty much just started something there, and something that look like will turn into a storyline with the New Day, or not? Excuse me, not the New Day. Shinsuke and Rick Boogs, with Shinsuke still the Intercontinental Champion, hasn't really defended that title much, if hardly any, since he won it. I think he might have defended it against Apollo Crews, and that's it. It's like, when is Shinsuke going to defend that Intercontinental title? What the heck? He needs to defend that title. That title's getting ignored. You had Naomi versus Shayna Basler next, and then Sonya Deville comes out and announces that she's the special guest referee. And of course, you already know how this is going to end up going. I mean, Naomi did all that she could, but then she got pinned, and Sonya did an extremely fast count. When Naomi had a pin on Shayna, she didn't count. Once it was reversed to Shayna with the pin, instant 3 count. It was ridiculous. So it's just another week of Sonya Deville screwing over Naomi, and she gets put asleep again from the Kirifuda clutch. But yeah, this is probably going to last for a bit. But yeah, Naomi's still getting screwed over, which I still think she needs to join the bloodline. She needs to join the bloodline. And like I said, the main event was the New Day versus the Usos. Team that's very familiar with each other. They've wrestled each other quite a bit. But it was very much back and forth. And this was also a championship contenders match. So with the New Day, they ended up getting the victory. So with this victory, New Day is going to get a tag title shot. Hopefully, probably as soon as next week, maybe. But we'll see. But the New Day closes the night with the victory, and they will get a tag title shot for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And that's pretty much SmackDown. I mean, like I said, it was But anyway, before I go, there's one thing that I also wanted to talk about right quick. Now, I'm sure some of y'all know that, unfortunately, Ring of Honor Wrestling, ROH, after the end of the year's final battle, they're going to be going on hiatus or perhaps shutting down. It was really, really a bummer hearing that news about ROH because, you know, I've been to ROH shows and I've enjoyed them. First one I went to was Winter Warriors Tour, where I got to meet Jay Lethal and the Young Bucks. I've been to Best in the World when they came to Concord, North Carolina. Got to meet the Briscoes and the Motor City Machine Guns and the Addiction. So it was just great. And, you know, Ring of Honor Wrestling, they usually did a couple of different tapings, like 3 to 4 tapings. And, you know, Ring of Honor, they've always had good meet and greets as well. I've met Kushida, Kelly Klein, like Nick Aldis when he was there, Cody, Marty Scurll. Like, there were a lot of great meet and greets. You know, I especially miss the times where they had the partnerships with New Japan Pro Wrestling, where they had LIJ compete there in a ROH ring, and Hiroki Goto and Tomohiro Ishii and Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Like, it was awesome. And then even for the women's division, they've even had a little partnership going with Stardom for a while, where you had got to see some of the ROH ladies compete in Stardom and vice versa. I mean, we've had Oedo Tai in Stardom. We've had Mayu Iwatani in Stardom. We've had Hana Kimura, Hazuki. like a whole bunch of folks. So they had some really great relationships, partnerships, and just I'm gonna miss ROH. I'm really gonna miss ROH. A lot of studs in that promotion, and it sucks that it's come to this. Especially the pandemic doesn't help, and then you have to also think about, they've re-signed a lot of contracts for some folks, and also like Roxy, became Women of Honor champion, winning that tournament, becoming Women of Honor champion. So it's like it's kind of bad, but hopefully they're going to be on hiatus until at least April of 2022. That's what the word is. So yeah. What I've also heard is that they might end up being more of like a PWG type show, where they'll just have like certain events and it'll open up to like anybody to be booked, which of course I know that, WWE will be different, but that's what I'm thinking, that ROH might get repackaged as like another sort of PWG sort of similar style of show. But man, I'm definitely gonna miss ROH. ROH I've enjoyed so much. I remember going with my dad to ROH, and a couple of other friends, Rob Potsy Potchak, shout out to you. I've been to a ROH show with you. But yeah, just I've always, excuse me, sorry about that. I've always really enjoyed ROH. The meet and greets were so good. The matches were great. And like I said, I even got to go to a pay-per-view, which was Best in the World, and that was awesome. And just seeing a lot of my favorites wrestle, the Young Bucks, Motor City Machine Guns, Red Dragon, Moose, War Machine, seeing Jay Lethal, the Briscoe brothers, Roderick Strong, shoot, and even the ladies too, Deonna Purrazzo, Karen Q, Stella Gray. Who else have I seen? Holodead. Like, just a lot of great wrestlers. Sumi Sakai, Nicole Savoy, Mandy Leon, like a lot of different ladies, Taylor Hendricks. So the Addiction, the Motor City Machine Guns, Jeff Cobb, Damian Punishment Martinez, Leo Rush. Just seeing a lot of these live. I'm just, it was such a blessing. Dalton Castle. So, of course, Bullet Club. But man, I'm really gonna miss ROH. They had some great shows. Like I said, I've been to at least 5 or 6 of them. So they come to Concord, North Carolina a lot. But hopefully they'll be able to bounce back. And hopefully this is only see you later, but not goodbye. But we'll have to see what happens. I mean, when the word, because the word is also that their ROH, the whole library is up for sale. And with it being at that point, I mean, that's kind of a big indication of maybe potentially a shutdown. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. But anyway, that is all that I have for tonight's broadcast. Thank y'all so much for stopping by and watching. Have to see what happens as of course Power Struggle is Saturday, so got that. Got more Goddess of Stardom Tag League to look forward to. And of course, the next pay-per-view for WWE is Survivor Series, so it'll be the road to that. And then AEW, just the road to Full Gear. The road to Full Gear. A lot of wrestling to look forward to. But anyway, thank y'all so much for stopping by. This is Blitzball Champ, Jason Ingram signing off for this episode of Pro Wrestling Talk. Hope everybody has a blessed week, and I will see y'all very soon. Thank you for watching. Good night.